Hi everyone, I'm Belinda Ginter, coming to you on video from Toronto, Canada. I am so honored to be part of this very special day and be part of the WFBTY Circle of Healing for Mental Health Conference. It's an honor to be here, and I just wanted to say thank you right from the bottom of my heart just before I get started. I am going to have notes for today. Due to the personal nature of what I'm speaking of, I have been a professional speaker for over a decade, been on stage in about 5 different countries with, thousands of people. However, due to talking about my experience walking through the suicide of my best friend, I'm going to give myself some grace and have some notes today. And one thing I've learned about the suicide journey and being on the other side of it, if you're ever on the other side of it, is that having things not be perfect is okay. And it's part of the healing. It's part of the healing for the survivors that get to on the other side of suicide, but it's also part of the healing for those left behind. So give yourself some grace. That's the first tip as we get started. And I'm going to give myself some grace today and have some notes because there's so much important things I want to share with you, and there's emotion behind it. So I'm going to set myself up for success and be able to deliver a good message for you guys. A little bit about myself is I am a certified business advisor through Scalable. I'm responsible for many companies and 2 to 4xing their income and revenue so that they can get over plateaus in business. I am also a certified mindset expert and as well as a certified emotional kinesiologist. So I attack life through mindset, through looking at all the angles, all the different perspectives. And again, hitting up against suicide was like hitting a brick wall because although I had all these tools and was expected just to fly through it and get to the other side, it's not that easy, is it? So I just want to tell you a little bit about my story and just a little heartfelt talk today, kind of a fireside chat. Um, One of the things I want to talk about is my friend Jason. So my journey is about the loss of Jason, and he was truly a remarkable person. So I just want to start by sharing who he was. He was an absolute light. I don't know if you've ever met anybody when they walk into the room, they can own it. They have just a little extra something, a light that shines so brightly within them that it comes outward. Everyone who met Jason would instantly think that they were his best friend. He made everybody feel special. From the person he met in the hotel lobby while traveling, or in the bar in the airport, or at a conference, or just walking the streets of New York City where he lived. He would make deep, lasting relationships that made people feel very seen, very heard, and very honored. And he could do it in a second. It was almost amazing to watch him do his thing, and he didn't know he could do it. He did not know that was one of his superpowers. However, all of us who had the honor of knowing him could see that spark and see that unique quality that not all of us have, that's for sure. Jason was patient and calm, which is stark in contrast to my fiery Scottish personality. Um, he often challenged me when emotions would be high to see how I could get through it in more of a calm way. I always laugh that the Scottish have 2 sets. It's either, everything's great or it's off the rails. And that's how I used to handle things, where Jason would be able to find the calm in any situation and could ground himself and also ground those around him. So our friendship really worked because he spent a lot of time laughing at how I handled things, and then would be a model and an example of a much calmer, much more easy way, an effortless way to handle situations and people and things like that. He was always the peacekeeper in the group, and always diffusing tension. and just really fostering understanding. The moment I learned about Jason's suicide was surreal. And it was really heartbreaking, to be honest. I received a phone call, and not thinking anything, just answered the phone like it was any other day. It was a client of mine who had seen the announcement on Facebook about his passing that I had not seen yet, um, and called to check in on me, which was very kind. However, it completely blindsided me. It had the opposite effect. It was a punch in the gut, and I felt myself just go down, literally to the ground. Finding out about a close friend's passing through such a detached way was very, very hard for me to put the pieces together. And, in all fairness, I understand now what his family must have been going through, trying to notify everybody. And he had a lot of close friends due to his, special connection ability. But it was a toughie, to be honest with you. It was a blindsiding, punch to the throat. Is the only way I can describe it. Um, there was a lot of shock. There was disbelief. It was very overwhelming. Um, and I was just left gripping and dripping in emotions, to be honest with you. I had to step away from my day-to-day responsibilities. Immediately, I could not serve my clients for the first time ever. As I said, I have been doing my job and doing it well for years and serving my clients and showing up and holding space for them. And I just realized I actually have no capacity. I have no space. And that was a huge realization for me. So I instantly hired another mindset expert to take over my clients, and my business clients went with a new business advisor. And I had to just step away and solely focus on going through the stages of grief and loss. I discovered things though in that time. I discovered that it's okay to delegate. I discovered that people will be okay if you pass them on to another person and just show complete um, transparency that you're going through something. I think often we're so shameful just to admit this has happened and I'm dealing with something. However, it actually made my connections with my clients much stronger when I did come back because they appreciated my honesty and my vulnerability and transparency, quite honestly, in that moment. I had to trust other people. That was important in my healing because after losing Jason, I stopped trusting for a little bit because he had, in some way, I felt, let me down. He had left without saying goodbye. He had given up in my eyes. And so that made me want to be protective of myself and build a wall. However, as I went through this process, the only way for me to go through it in a healthy way was to trust someone else to take over my business. So it's amazing how God works. He shows you through doing sometimes, and that was definitely one of the things that I had to learn was to trust again after suicide. I discovered that music really, really helped me move through these emotions. The times I needed to cry, I put on the ballads. The times I needed to scream, I put on, the Alanis Morissette. The times I just needed to sit in solitude, I put on Kenny G. Just really leaning into music as a healer was so good for my soul at that time. Another really great thing that kept me going and kept me, my pulse going and me alive and kicking was things like just discussing Jason like he's still here, like using his name, making sure his name doesn't get forgotten, making sure those memories stay alive and sharing them with as many people as I can. And that's why it's such an honor to be here talking to you guys because, the more I talk about him and I say his name, he's here, right? He's with us. And he stays a part of this world. Um, so that was a really important thing. So looking at pictures, being in nature was so healing. Just when everything was so confusing and the noise in my head was so loud and distracting, a simple walk in the forest would just calm everything down and it would allow me to get clear enough to think again and to process more and take those next little steps in my grief, and getting on the other side of it, right? Um, each of these activities really allowed me to process my feelings and really keep Jason's memory alive at the exact same time. However, I didn't expect to lose my love for public speaking through this whole grief process. I had mentioned that Jason was a great friend of mine, but I hadn't mentioned up to this point is that he was also my traveling partner. He was my videographer. Every time I took the stage, he was right in front of me filming. So he became kind of like a security blanket of sorts, where I felt comforted being on the stage in these large crowds in these, different places because I had that one familiarity, which was Jason. He always makes sure there was no hair out of place. Like you can see me struggling even now today with Zoom, brushing my hair to the side and whatnot. He would just kind of give me these signals, and I would know just to, oh, there's a hair piece there, there's something here, so that I would always show up as my best self when I spoke. The words were just not coming to me. The confidence was gone. And it really took me for a loop because this is my profession as well. Of a passion to professionally speak. It was definitely, a passion at the time. I had no desire to do it altogether. I lost my words. But through this journey, I've come to realize that life indeed continues, even when it feels impossible. There are moments when laughter and joy even returns. And it feels kind of surreal and it feels a little out of place, to be honest. Um, and you will rediscover the love for things that maybe get dulled down during grief. um, they only get temporary taken away. So what I've learned too is through this whole process of grief through suicide is not to overreact and just to allow, almost to step aside and get out of grief's way. It is going to process in the way it needs to, but the beautiful thing to know, and I think the thing to know in life in general, is that struggle and disassociation and all these things are temporary. They last for a temporary amount of time. There is always life and light at the end of the tunnel. Um, and that was really comforting to me because there were days when I would not have believed myself if I had told myself this exact thing. So thank goodness through life experience, I've been able to actually now attest to it. That, even on the days when you feel totally broken and you feel like, what is the point? There is a point, and those feelings will wash over you, and you will come out the other side, and you will have glimpses of something will make you laugh, or something will bring back a memory, or it's not all sad. Sometimes those memories would make me laugh hysterically, right? So just know that a lot of the things that maybe you are feeling and that I was definitely feeling, was very temporary. During this time, I also learned to prioritize myself and my well-being. Um, it's perfectly acceptable when you're going through something to step away, to cancel commitments, to say no, to reschedule. Whatever you need to do is what you need to do in that moment. Grief can be overwhelming, 100%. There are times when putting yourself first is just not important, it's actually essential. just like on an airplane, when you're traveling and they say, okay, if you have a small child traveling with you, you have to put the oxygen mask on first and then share it. That is also how you go through grief. And actually, how you come out of the other side of it, you have to give yourself the oxygen first before assisting others and support them. They're powerful reminders of resilience and hope amongst profound loss, despite the darkness and what we experience. I want to share a message of hope with you all. A message that deeply resonates with the mission of the Monique Woolley Foundation. This foundation is dedicated to survivors of suicide and those struggling with depression, bringing vital awareness to mental health. This is something that we didn't talk about for years and years and years and years. And even though Jason died at a time where it was being discussed, it was still a faux pas. It was still something that one did not admit to, or they seemed weak. And I think sometimes for men too, to really share that they're in a dark place. Society wasn't having it at that time. So thank God for foundations like this one here that we're celebrating today, because they are taking that away. And who knows, if there was more support back then for Jason, maybe he would have felt more comfortable being vulnerable and sharing that he wasn't good, and simply getting that out would have been enough. There's many days that I wasn't okay. There was many days where I was profoundly sad, um, and felt deep sadness. But what I want to instill is that even in the dark days, there's hope, you know? Um, and the foundation of hope is that no one gives up, right? Healing is possible, even in profound loss. Jason's legacy lives on, inspiring me to advocate for mental health around the world, to become a better listener, and just as he was, I strive to embody his patience, his understanding, and his interactions with others. If you or someone you know is struggling, please speak to organizations like this one and your local mental health resources as well. There is support for you. In closing, I just want to express my gratitude for the presence here today. Sharing my journey is not just about remembering Jason. It's about fostering connection and understanding among us all. And that was something he stood for. As the Monique Woolley Foundation emphasizes, suicide is all of our business. Let's honor those we've lost by continuing this conversation about mental health and keep sharing our stories and supporting one another so that no one is alone in their struggle. Thank you so much.